my first video analysis 1 month ago. So I tried to fix it by doing unfiltered.
Yes.
And then,
oh, you saw the dead spot before. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
And also I have some problem on the left catch. Maybe too wide.
A bit wider. If we look at it here, one of your saving graces about the stroke here, and this is a very, very important point, most overgliders that I see won't be doing anything near as nice as what you're doing underneath the water here, look. So even though we've identified that your right arm, that's the right arm that you can see there, of course, stalls out in front of the head, at least it's in a good position. The fingertips below the wrist and wrist below the elbow, so that's good stuff. Most overgliders will actually stall and bring the hand as much as that up towards the surface, and therefore they're actually applying the brakes. So you're not, even though you're stalling, you're not applying such a braking position, so that's a good thing. You see the body position quite strong, but this is interesting. What you haven't done is you haven't. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, I feel like I stall when the left hand, so I have to like cover it with kick.
That was the point I was just going to say right here, like.
And I tried to keep reminding myself to move the right hand and still it takes time.
So we've got much more of a continuous flutter kicking action here. So compared to the true overglider that we saw beforehand, Scott, but that, you see how your legs end up sitting a little bit on the low side? I believe part of that is because we actually end up stalling out in front of the head just a little bit too much. So in that position there, you're actually sinking. What you're doing is you're actually compensating by kicking a little bit harder. But for marathon swimming, 10Ks and above, it's going to become quite costly in terms of the energy required and oxygen, etc. to do from that. So, like I say, there's a lot of saving graces here. You're trying to do the right thing. I just think you're out in front of the head just a little bit too long. I'd love to get you doing the ramp test as one of our selected swimmers tomorrow. So actually have a look, go doing that if you're keen, and seeing if you can identify where the rate should be. Now, if you look at it then underneath the water from the front, we can see, so see the right, watch. So just like David, the right hand just stays out there too long. Oh, yeah. So this one here, like, it's nice from that point onwards, look. Very nice catch and pull through there. It's just a little bit too long out in front of the head. And then we get into that good catch and pull through position. So your stroke, I classified you when I was writing this down as you, again, a bit overglider smooth. So you are moving towards that. It's nice to see that you're not stalling in that position, but we need to work on getting that timing right. One of the really good exercises that you could do is doing the pull boy between the legs, doing a bit of the sculling drill, just to emphasise that position, but then have the beaker underneath your cap, ready to get you started at a slightly higher rate. So you're at the moment 52 strokes per minute. The way I'd start off with you at 58. So do a bit of sculling into your freestyle 58, and what you'd feel is just a little bit more sort of rhythm, a little bit more tempo to the.
Try with 55, but I find it very hard.
A bit too hard, yeah, exactly right. Because you've almost got it sort of imprinted there in your head that you need to.
Repetition from here is very hard. It's very hard to.
That's right, yeah. So we'll try some of those drills tomorrow and try to actually tune it up for you within the stroke. But if you just watch it from the front here, well, from the side above, I should say. I love the fact you've got a nice bit of lift, even though you've got sort of more of the classic high elbow, though. This is a great recovery action. Everyone see that? So it's a high elbow, but with good clearance of the hand over the surface of the water. You look like you're incredibly flexible. You might tell me otherwise, but you do look like you're a very flexible guy, so you'll be able to get yourself into some good positions, which is great to see. But from the top, especially when we look down, look, it's just that moment in time, like where that right arm is out there just a little bit too long. And again, things like when it stays out in front of the head a bit too long, the body can actually over-rotate a little bit. And what you're trying to do there is you're actually scissor kicking apart to stabilise for that. So if we could just get that arm starting to catch just a little bit sooner, again, like David did, or like David would do, pop in a paddle on that right hand, one of the agility paddles, just to get you to think about spending the time on the catch rather than the time on the glide. I said I wouldn't say that word, I've said it once, okay. So glide out in front of the head there.
You do it just the one hand? I know it's just the one hand which is the problem.
Yeah.
Would you do that, just have one hand paddling?
Yes.
Rather than making sure it's...
Yeah, absolutely, because then you get much more of a... it becomes a lot more obvious that that's what you're trying to work on. So in the stroke like yourselves, where it's quite an asymmetrical overglide, let's say, some swimmers have an overglide on every single stroke, but between the two of you, you clearly stall more so with your right arm, then yes, I'll get you having a go with the paddle on the right hand. I'd still get you to draw it with the left one as well, later on, but I try to isolate it and say, look, this is the thing that we can see within the stroke. Both of you stall out there a little bit too long. Let's try to get into that catch just a little bit sooner there. But otherwise, I think this will tune up really nice, and that's why I'm quite keen, like I was with Telly last week, to put her through. She was doing it almost identical to what you're doing here, and I can't guarantee that you're going to post a sub, 131 CSS or what have you. But another good thing to see here as well is look how your toes are turned in. So big toes in that respect are actually brushing against each other. It's just when that hand just spends a bit too long out the front, you've got no other choice. You're overbalancing there, you're over-rotating a little bit, the legs splay apart to literally stop you rolling out onto your back. Okay.